How do you view Russia's position or role in Asia generally, and also particularly Russia's relationship with Myanmar, and compare with, for example, with of China relation with Myanmar or United States relationship with Myanmar? How do you view this Russia's position and role in the region and also with Myanmar?
You see, a big part of Russia is in Asia, so we see ourselves as an integral part of Asia Pacific and actively engaged in all the political endeavors and economic cooperation there. So, generally speaking, on Asia Pacific and Asia situation, we see there is a lot of talk about Asia century, race of Asia. Yes, we see dynamic development of this region and the shift of power and economic power to Asia, which is this is very important global trend. We take active steps to promote cooperation in Asia. BRICS, I mentioned BRICS, it is not regional organization, but 3 of the members are in Asia, so BRICS also pays great attention to Asia situation. We have also progress in cooperation under Shanghai Organization of Cooperation, and now you see many countries would like to join Shanghai Organization within India and some others. So this would be a new building block to develop cooperation in different areas. You see, initially the Shanghai Organization was focused on a very narrow area of border security. It was born many years ago as a means to to solve the border issues between 5 countries. Now it evolved into big political and security organization, which has its own plans on anti-terrorist activities and political cooperation. And what is new, that we're now talking about economic dimension of Shanghai Organization. So next year would be marked by anniversary of Russia-ASEAN dialogue. So we will have a summit meeting with ASEAN leaders. So our dialogue is also very important, and it affects all 3 pillars of ASEAN integration. We support ASEAN centrality and support integration within ASEAN, and are ready to develop relations in security, political affairs, and economic area, and social and cultural sphere. And all this would be discussed between President Putin and the leaders of ASEAN. We hope big political document would be prepared and plan of action. So conceptually, we are now talking about 2 things. In the area of security, we have made proposal together with China about new architecture of indivisible security and development. Indivisible security means a very simple thing, that one country should not enhance her own security at the expense of other countries. And now we have 2 or 3 maybe rounds of consultations on the East Asia Summit. Many countries have proposals. Indonesia has her own proposals on this. India, China, Russia. So many countries are interested in these discussions, and hopefully our long-term goal is to work out sort of legal framework for the new system of cooperation and security and development in Asia Pacific. In the economic area, we quite recently, in December, President Putin put forward a very interesting proposal to have negotiations about economic partnership between Eurasia Union, which comprises 5 countries, Shanghai Organization of Cooperation, and ASEAN. So this is would cover vast areas and many countries. So we have concluded agreement on free trade with Vietnam. So on the horizon is a possibility of free trade agreement with ASEAN. But now we must take into account also the economic dimension of Shanghai Organization. So these 3, Eurasian Union, Shanghai Organization, ASEAN, could be three pillars, 3 members of a new economic partnership system. So that's basically our approaches to Asian security and economic cooperation.
How do you view Russia's relationship with Myanmar?
Yes,
compared with China or the United States.
Yes, you know, we are our relations with Myanmar has its own context, history, and peculiarities. So we do not compare our relations with China-Myanmar relations or U.S.-Myanmar relations. For example, China is a neighbor of Myanmar. Of course, the volume of economic and people-to-people interaction is much greater. So we are different positions. And more generally speaking, we do not see it appropriate to consider the relations in terms of competition, rivalry, and struggle for influence. We believe that the relations could be mutually complementary, and you see Myanmar has a lot of problems and a lot of needs, and all countries can find a way and place to participate in cooperation and in development of Myanmar. So we do not believe that the rivalry and attitudes dictated by desire to harm other countries are appropriate. We seek mutually beneficial relations, and I think our position is that every country, while developing relations with other countries or making any international moves, should take into consideration the interests of other countries, and to move ahead in a balanced and cautious way.
Just one last question. Russia has been a good friend of Myanmar from the time when we became independent. If you may advise, what would you advise for Myanmar's future nation building, or like kind of a federal setup that Myanmar should have? I'm asking this because you have had Soviet Union experience, and afterwards Russia experienced its own experiences. So what would you advise for Myanmar?
Well, I'm hesitant to give any advice. Again, as I mentioned, this is for Myanmar people to decide in accordance with their tradition, history, and their attitudes. If we are asked, we can share our experience, as you mentioned. And you also mentioned the issue of federalism. I can only say that this is very serious matter, and this cannot be just a political slogan. You know, federalism is complicated arrangements, power sharing, resource sharing, money transfer. So this should be discussed and worked out in a very prudent and serious way from our perspective. For example, our experience, not only in the Soviet Union, Russia Federation is also a federation. So we moved along through different stages of arrangements, and this issue must be taken very seriously, and we can share our experience, for example, in financial matters, how to regulate the flows between regions which are more rich and regions which are not so rich. We in Russia we also have similar problems. Some regions are donors, some are recipients, and there is very sophisticated system of redistribution of resources, so that those who are more advanced are do not suffer, and their development is stimulated, but at the same time they must also help other regions to develop. There are also other problems, for example, national resources. In Russia we decided that national resources should be a state monopoly. There is problems in culture and education. If somebody wants to teach, have education in national language, we welcome it. But then the problem is, if a person goes to university in Moscow, he must pass exam in Russian language. So that means that both national language and state language should be studied equally. Of course, we pay great attention to the preservation of national heritage and the national traditions of many countries, of many nations. We have more than 150. Myanmar has 136 national races. So in this regard, we are somewhat similar, and we even discuss with the Ministry of Culture ways to cooperate in sharing best practices in preservation of national cultures and national traditions. No advices, but we are ready to share our experience through visits, discussions, seminars, exchanges, and I think this is more appropriate than giving advices.
Thank you, His Excellency, for giving time for this interview.
Thank you so much.